This is by Charles Reid,
Right.
who was sort of famous at the time for his photographs of rural Scotland. And so not unlike the sheep shearers, which was a different photographer, we're looking at an essential component of rural life in Scotland in the 19th century.
It's got a very different kind of feel to it. This, in a way, it's, I don't know whether it's as staged as the previous one. It doesn't look as staged as the previous one, because while we do have the woman here clearly looking at the camera, the person behind lost in the smoke is probably also looking at the camera. This guy here with the pipe is just busy carrying on with the horses. The lad over here with the axe is obviously looking in that direction. There is a feeling of this place has stopped and they're either getting ready to go, or they're settling down, getting ready. You know, we don't know yet whether he's harnessing up or unharnessing, I suppose. Maybe they're not leaving straight away because the kettle's on. So maybe they've just sort of pulled up and they're getting ready to stop. But there is a point where, I mean, it's beautifully composed, this, with, you know, the way the lines, you know, the diagonals draw you in, and the whole shape of the photo. So they know they're being photographed, and presumably the photographer will have had to have had a little bit of permission. You're not going to just sort of turn up, stand this in front of some, you know, gypsy carts or whatever, and not expect for somebody to come and go, "Oi, what are you doing?" But at the same time, it does have a slightly more naturalistic look than the previous one. What I also actually, just a kind of slight little tangent here, all the baskets and chairs and everything, I assume that they're going from town to town selling these things, maybe making and selling these things, rather than that just being their own furniture which they're carrying with them.
Well, they were, and this was one of the main ways that rural communities bought such items, you know, prior to the onslaught in the 20th century of shops like
before Amazon.
Yeah, well, and yeah, speaking of onslaught in the you know, current day Amazon, but yes, and so travelers such as the ones we see here would go from community to community, selling things like these baskets and chairs.
Yeah, I was struck. Looking at this earlier, I suddenly, this little spark of a memory somewhere from childhood. I'm fairly certain I have an ancestor. There was talk of some great grandfather or uncle off on some direction who was a journeyman basket weaver. And presumably then this is pretty much, you know, it went going from town to town, making baskets, selling baskets, repairing baskets. So probably unlikely to be my relative, but I guess it's probably, that's maybe like a bit of an insight into what he would have been and how he would have lived as well.